I'm working on an interesting project here. This is probably one of the poorliest constructed quilts that I have worked on in a very long time. In this center of this block, all of the blocks, this is the center area of the block, and right in this very center she has placed one of those yo-yos. Now I have to come up with something that I could stitch this, and I would not be stitching anything in that yo-yo area. See, the yo-yo is right here in all of these blocks, and the blocks are not very straight. So what I did was I took this modern curve flower and I placed one repeat on the screen. This is the center of the block, so I wanted to remove this, and I just simply got my nodes, and where this is actually connected is right at this point. I divided it there and there, and what that gives me is that removes, or allows me to remove, this little flower thing in the middle of this block. So I'm going to go escape, I'm going to select this and just delete it. Then if I need to, I'll come down here and look at this. I'm going to need to divide this somewhere and connect that. So I'll get my nodes and make sure it's divided there. It should be. Yes, it is. Then I come down and see if I can find a point here where I can divide this thing. And there's several lines that come together, so I'm just going to pick a place and see if I got the right one. And yes, I do have. Now I can just turn on my end snap and snap this together. Hopefully that's going to work. There you go. It's snapped together. Escape out of that. Then I went ahead and selected everything so that I could combine it. Now if I just click on it now, it selects all parts of it, so I know, yes, it is combined. Then I right-clicked, I exported this pattern to CSQ, and I gave it a name. In fact, I named it this Modern Curve Flower 2015 E to E Modified. So that placed a copy of this pattern on the screen, right there. I don't need that, so I'm going to get rid of it. Then, as I was working on this, you see what I do to adjust where I want the machine to stitch. I just pick an area. I go to the yo-yo and I place the machine head above that yo-yo a little bit. And I adjust the curve so that it's going to not stitch down on the yo-yo. And then I simply move the machine around to, this is the right hand side, and I adjust the pattern again. And I continue to do that so that I can adjust this pattern so that it will not stitch into and get caught in that yo-yo thing. So I continued across the quilt, and I got to this block, and as you can see, this block is a little bit out of out of square and out of everything. So I adjusted the pattern to fit. Now I know it's out of shape, but this is the best I can do with this. And what I did was I ended up with this area right here that had all this space in it. And again, I just decided to do something to fill that in. And I moved my machine out of the way. I thought, well, I'll start with this modern curve, and I'll place a copy of it on the screen. And I'll change see how it lined it up on there? I didn't change this. So if I do this lower left corner, it's going to shift it up there. And what I wanted was one of these. Well, I just picked one anywhere. Doesn't matter. I can get this one. Get my nodes. And I can get the nodes more than one way, but right-clicking and click on nodes is just more like how I'm used to doing this. And again, I can divide it there, and again at that point. And they should isolate this thing. I can select it, hopefully. I'll just get rid of all this stuff. I don't need it. Get rid of this stuff. Now it gives me this. Then I'll zoom in and go get the nodes again. Gonna divide it. Select that. Move this to there. Snap it by turning on End Snap. Select everything. Combine it. Now I can export that to CSQ, and I did that, and there's a copy of it. And I decided, well, I just moved that into this area that didn't have anything. It's quite large and out of shape, so I just moved this little flower into there and stitched it out. So I'm thinking there's going to be many places on this quilt that I will have to do something like that. I'm ready to do the last block in the second row. I'm going to click my 4 boundary points. I'm going to click the lower left, then the lower right, the upper right, I click this upper left, click stop, that puts in my boundary. I'm just going to go over to pattern to boundary and then click the lower right, and it's going to put that pattern right in this boundary. I have to adjust this pattern to fit right around those yo-yos. So I have the machine foot right here along the left edge of that, and right click, get my nodes. Then I'm just going to move this in so that it's going to be right along the edge of that. I'll just move my machine foot. This is the top edge of it, and not much adjustment to do here. Sometimes there's not a lot of adjustment to do. Just kind of make that symmetric. Move the machine to the right hand side of the yo-yo, and now there's quite a bit of adjustment to do here, but that's okay. Just going to kind of bring this over, and it's going to deform this, but because of the way these blocks are made, it's really, really impossible for me to do this any other way. I think I'm going to just change this some. And I may try to make this a little more symmetric somehow. Just kind of move this thing around so it's not too terribly out of shape. Go down to the bottom of the yo-yo and see what I need to do. There's not much of an adjustment to do there. Sometimes the yo-yo and the block is just kind of out of adjustment. I mean, it's just not very. I can do this like this. Bring that down, and that'll work right there. That yo-yo is right in this area, and I'll stitch this out.